Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be. We open the scene with, well, it's actually a fairly nice and comforting day in the steppes of the green umbral side. It's very, very calm, very, very serene. We find ourselves in the days coming up towards the end of winter. It's starting to get a little bit more temperate. The spirits are starting to branch out, to blossom. You can see plenty of the plant spirits trying to come back to life in the more temperate air. And, well, as such, as it's the duty of one particular Garu, one of the keepers has decided to wander on to take a little bit of a survey of the area. And as she has taken a survey of most of the entire Central Park area, from a reflection of, she finds herself wandering more towards the Karen heart, where the actual wellspring of Gnosis and Gaia's primal energy actually flows out of. The day is somewhat bright. It's a little bit cloudy. It's a little bit cloudy with, of course, the skyscraper blocking most of the view. But other than that, it's actually quite a mild and quite a pleasant day for one Miss Wren Brennan.
She's actually been checking this Karen Hart fairly frequently since they left for Wolf Home, though she's been distracted by constant babysitting of her cell phone, which has not so far had any good news for her. So she's been popping in and out of the Umbra quite a bit lately, and she's on one of her passes on the Umbral side of things. She's bundled up and her face is tense, but a little hopeful as she stops by to see if there's any sign of the people who left.
There before Wren Brennan is the ritual circle. There before her is the various stones that were laid out in order to erect the moonbridge up into the deep, deep, deep dark side of the Umbra. Not necessarily the deep Umbra, but the darker side of the Umbra. The Umbra you don't really want to go ahead and walk towards. And as she looks into the center of this circle, she sees a prism of light extending from the center of the circle far, far and way up, like an arch that leads on further, further off into the horizon, into the sky.
She immediately heads over there and doesn't step into the circle, but she stops at the edge and stares.
As she stops, as she stares, there materialized, more thrown over this prism of light, this arch of light, comes a lupus form, a figure that seems in mid-strike, sweeping its arms, its legs in a primal contest. And if she can go ahead and see it, if she can go ahead and spot it really damn quickly, there is a dart in the neck of this lupus form. And as soon as this lupus form goes ahead and travels over the arc of light, as soon as it goes ahead and materializes, as soon as it goes ahead and lays paws on the ground, it has an instant shift, a shift upwards, a shift towards a standing homid form of Lucas Mathis. In an instant, Lucas Mathis' hands go to his throat to go ahead and feel that dart in his neck. He goes ahead and looks around quite briefly, and he gutters something, an unintelligible syllable, before he just goes ahead and falls unconscious, falls on the ground in the middle of the circle.
Would Wren know whether stepping into the circle would destroy any of the magic?
Stepping in the circle would not destroy any of the magic.
Okay, she's still going to be very careful of it, but she's going to shift to Krenos and reach in very, very gently and try to pull him out without messing up any of the symbols.
You can definitely go ahead and pull him out. You have the Hamid form of Lucas. What do you do?
Okay. She pulls him out and starts checking him for wounds. She kind of curls up cross-legged, and since he's unconscious, she doesn't worry about being in Krenos. She like drapes him across her lap and starts checking him for wounds.
Okay. You look over him. Doesn't seem to be any visible signs of trauma. But you go ahead and look at his neck really quickly. Go ahead and give him 1-2 to make sure that all his arteries are all in the right shape, that he can actually breathe. He breathes very, very shallowly. And you notice that dart that has been puncturing his throat. It stays there for a brief instant before just sort of dissolving into the greater umbral scape.
Fuck. She can't really study the dart because it's gone. So she presses a finger over the wound to see if anything comes away. She kind of sniffs at it. But I'm guessing it's probably, there's not much to see. Probably just a little bit of blood.
A small pinprick, a small amount of blood, and the very, very heavy, heavy chemical smell coming from his throat from that tiny little pinprick.
Ugh. Okay, she's going to first offer him Mother's Touch. What's his current rage?
His current rage is actually 3, if you can imagine it.
Okay, well, if he has any other wounds, he is fucking set.
He's definitely fucking set. The mother's power and energy goes ahead and flows through you into this unconscious form. And if he did have any mins, if he did have any wounds, they're mostly healed. You don't see any visible signs of change, though.
Wren's sweating a little now. A little concerned that he's still unconscious. She has him in her lap, which means that she can't really get up and grab the things she needs for a real cleansing. So instead, she's going to perform Bowels of the Mother and prick her own finger to use as the stick. And then she's going to perform a rite of cleansing on him. I have no idea whether that's really necessary, but just in case. 2.
You go ahead and prick your finger. You go ahead and call upon the bowels of the mother. A minor rite thou was created just for such an occasion where you did not have many materials. In fact, in such an occasion where you might have been trapped underneath the water in a very, very tight sub. I love that particular rite. But yes, go ahead and wave your finger. You go ahead and drive away any of the taint that might have been lingering on this poor unfortunate Garu. But he still remains unconscious.
She settles into wait. She makes sure that he at least looks comfortable. And after a little while, she realizes that it's probably not going to be great if he comes back awake and there's a fucking human-faced monster leaning over him. So she very carefully, very slowly shifts back into Hamid and rearranges him since he can't comfortably lay in her lap anymore. Just sets his head on her leg and waits patiently. Just watches him.
Go ahead and look down at Lucas. You've laid him on his back, and every so often you can see subtle twitches to his eyelids. You can go ahead and see his pupils underneath his eyelids go ahead and twitter, go to and fro. walk up and down, left and right. You can see his hands go ahead and clench and unclench, clench and unclench where they are resting.
She makes sure it doesn't hurt himself with his clenching hands. After a couple times of him doing that, she'll try to slip her hand very gently into his so that when it clenches, she can squeeze back. And she strokes his hair gently and waits. She'll wait for hours if she has to.
Definitely takes a while. By now, Helios has already gone ahead and walked up, risen to the high point of the sky, and descended downwards. And about this time in the evening, well, 9 o'clock, you actually see one of his eyelids go ahead and open up and look just simply up at Luna, who has taken Helios's place.
Oh,
Doesn't seem
thank
to
God.
recognize you.
If he's still holding her hand, she leaves her hand in his and just sits very, very still.
A word comes from his throat. Water!
She immediately reaches for her purse, reaches for the first aid kit in her purse, and she pulls out one of the gloves and spends a little more gnosis. Hopefully a bunch of them don't come screaming across the Umbra needing healing. And fills the glove with water and tries carefully, like she holds the end, pokes a little hole in the tip of one finger and starts dribbling it into his mouth.
He'll go ahead and open his mouth and greedily go ahead and take it and swallow it as much as you're wanting to. And Lucas doesn't go ahead and like try to shake off your hand, imagining that you're taking his right hand. He goes ahead and tries to sit up, winces for a few seconds, blinks.
Ooh, careful there. You okay?
He goes ahead and shakes his head.
Go slowly. You had some pretty nasty something in you. Do you remember your name?
Lucas
Do you remember my name?
goes ahead and looks at you. Something about faces.
She winces, but she nods.
Thoughts.
Do you know where you are?
Goes ahead and grimaces, goes ahead and grits his teeth. Town.
You're home. It's all right. You're back in the sept. You're home and you're safe.
He tries to go ahead and compartmentalize that in his head. He tries to. No home, no safety, he says, as he's trying to disentangle himself from you and skirt away.
Hey, Lucas. Believe me. You're home and you're safe. It's over. You're here.
He looks at you as if a cornered animal would, actually. Very, very distrusting eyes, very, very narrowed.
Wren is okay with that. She stays cross-legged with her shoulders hunched. She makes a pretty small, for somebody as tall as she is, she can cut a pretty small figure when she wants to. And she just sits there like a lump, watching him. If he backs away, she stays where she is. Just talks quietly when she can.
Bird.
Hmm?
You're a bird.
Well, yes, that's one of my names. Wren.
Lol. Go ahead. I did not mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all she just said, Wren.
Cactus.
Yep, a cactus wren.
Bird. Cactus. Oh my fucking god, Wren!
Are you okay?
Goes ahead and opens his eyes up, wide-eyed, and sort of lunges at you with both arms.
She tries to scramble to her feet in time to like catch him in her arms instead of being like thrown backward. Ooh, she does pretty darn well for once.
Very well. Describe the action.
So as he goes lunging for her, she like uncrosses her legs and kind of shoves herself to her feet so that she's grabbing him and pushing them both so they're standing at the same time.
Definitely. You can definitely pull Lucas up by his feet.
And then she'll just wrap her arms around him and hold him tight.
You feel Lucas's arms goes ahead and wrap around you. You feel his hands go ahead and grip you cross-armed toward your back, towards your hips, just gripping very, very tightly as if you were the one thing in this world that is an anchor at the moment.
Oh, Wren is more than happy to be that. She just holds him, tucks her chin over his shoulder, and waits. She doesn't push him. If it takes a long time, her fingers kind of knead his back a little bit, just to reassure him that it's okay. And this is perception empathy. Just to see what she can get out of his breathing, his embrace.
Okay, from his breathing, from his embrace, from the previous behavior. Let's see, how is he breathing? He's breathing very, very rapidly, as if he's expecting to spring into action. He's gripping you very, very tightly, as if he is very, very worried about you leaving him at any one point. And from his previous actions, you can definitely tell that he is confused and very, very anxious.
She lets him hold her, and she holds him back. She doesn't ask questions for a long time. And when she finally does, it's less of a need to know and more of a trying to give him something to hold on to think about that's not whatever's in his head.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you gone, do you know?
You go ahead and hear in your ear a little bit of a whisper. First day, there were helicopters. Second day, there was a bulldozer. Third day, there were darts.
You had a dart in you? In your throat?
You go ahead and feel Lucas go ahead and nod his head pretty much against your shoulder.
It's gone. Do you still feel funny?
You go ahead and feel him go ahead and shake his head.
She nods once. Good. Good. You're alone so far. How were the others when you left?
Fighting against coats with fire sticks and darts and nets.
Shh,
4 of
fire
them.
sticks. What are fire sticks?
Uh,
It's okay. Find the language. Take a minute if you need to. It's okay.
not shit, not gun, kind of like fucking rifle with darts.
Shit.
I left them.
You were darted, Lucas.
At this point, you can go ahead and feel him convulsing a little bit, him starting to, well, fuck it, cry out a little bit. I fucking left them.
Wren wraps her arms around him a little tighter. She can probably hold him up on his feet if she has to, and she's prepared.
No, this is not like many times that you've had to comfort Lucas. He's definitely standing on his 2 legs. He's still blubbering, saying that he left them.
She strokes his head with a hand and lets him cry.
I left them. I knew the way out. I knew the way out and I left them. I don't understand why they couldn't follow me, he says.
Shh. It's okay. It's okay.
Shit. I tried to show them the way. I showed them shelter and I showed them food. I couldn't show them out of hell.
Yeah. It's okay. You weren't there as a teacher. They'll find their way back. They have to find their way back. And it's not your fault.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
I understood it. He goes ahead and tries to break away from you, and as he does, he's just going to go ahead and take a step or 2 back, and cross himself across his chest. I knew it. I understood it.
He crossed himself?
As in, he is stepping away from you, and he is holding himself.
Okay, not like a Catholic, 4
Oh,
point.
no.
Okay, I was
no.
like, wow, Lucas has never done that before. That's a really startling thing that Lucas found Jesus in Wolf Home. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, she'll let him go if he as soon as he tries to pull away, she'll let him go immediately. And she crosses her arms over her chest too, so they just kind of stand there hugging themselves, probably both looking a little miserable.
Oh, he's definitely not standing. He's definitely crouching again.
Oh, okay. So she won't tower over him. She'll crouch down next to him.
I understood. I've ran for so long. I was running in hell for so long. This was nothing different. Why didn't they understand? Why could they not follow?
Wren kind of tips her head sideways because she's pretty sure he knows the answer to that if he thinks about it. So she doesn't. She just listens.
He stops for a few seconds and he thinks. You can see him looking up. And when he looks up, he goes ahead and brings one forefinger out and just sort of twirls it. Monsters with whirling blades. That was the first thing that hit us. Helicopter. Maybe. With people inside. With rifles. I think that's what hit us first. He says, continuing to twirl his finger. And then it was. And he goes ahead and tries to mimic a dog, actually, by way of putting his two hands up in a begging position, but more in a menacing begging position than dogs.
Menacing begging position. Okay.
Dogs. Dogs came after us second, with men behind them with rifles. They attacked us when we thought we were safe, when we had a home and a den, and we fought them off. Where the fuck's Olaf? Did Olaf come back? He says, like, desperately looking at you.
She shakes her head and then unfolds her arms so she can tap her head with a finger. No, he still sounds like a wolf.
Damn it.
Not yet.
They tried to lead us. They did, but they couldn't. They weren't experienced enough. It was broken down to like not one pack, two packs, and it didn't work. It did not fucking work. We were divided from the very beginning. It didn't work.
If you'd been good at being wolves, you wouldn't have been sent to wolf home.
I am good. I was so fucking good. We were good. We were awesome. It just not connected, not together.
She cocks her head sideways because she's listening.
It's just, I don't know how to. Who's the bitch I always run with? Please tell me. Please tell me who the bitch I always run with.
Maeve?
Goes ahead and points to you. There you go. Maeve. She's good. She led. She instructed. He goes ahead and scrunches his face again. Who's the other one?
The other female?
Goes ahead and nods.
She kind of purses her lips. Cinna? Talia?
When you say Talia, there's a definitely a feeling of respect, a feeling of strength. But when you go ahead and say Cinna, he goes ahead and shakes his head. Not good. Not good. Not wolf. Leader, maybe, but not wolf.
I'd be careful about judging your siblings before they get back.
He Goes ahead and stops for a hot second. Sits.
She sits with him. She moves pretty slowly from her crouch to a sit, still watching him.
We fought those who came into our territory, and we drove them off. He closes his eyes. And then they came back. No, they did not come back. Something else came back. Big. He goes ahead and raises his hands. With a big mouth and shiny, shiny eyes. That went ahead and it pushed the trees. It demolished them. It threw them away, and it threw away our home again.
You said it was a bulldozer. Is that the bulldozer? Or is it something else?
He goes ahead and nods his head. That might have been the bulldozer.
Wren lets the silence drag for a little bit, just kind of watching him still. And kind of squinting a little, not entirely sure what is safe to say. Does it hurt?
Does she say, does it hurt?
Uh-huh.
Okay. He definitely goes ahead and nods. Definitely looks up to Wren from where he's been scrunching his face. And he says, it's like, it was exactly like losing the sept all over again.
She nods.
That was home, that was our den, and it got wiped out. Like in an instant.
And then you had no shelter.
He goes ahead and nods in acknowledgement.
Wren reaches out and tries very, very gently to lay her hand on his chest.
Doesn't fight it.
You're
in
home.
fact, when you go ahead and lay your hand on that chest, you can feel the deep heartbeat there.
You're home now.
You can feel him breathe in and breathe out. You can imagine him taking some sort of solace from that one.
Do you want to go lay down in a real bed?
Yes.
Does he have a cabin again?
Let's go ahead and get this straight in our heads. Lucas Mathis was gifted a cabin by the Stargazers, whom he opened up to the rest of the Cubs.
Right.
And after a certain point, the female Cubs got moved over to a different cabin, but he still has a cabin.
I mean, was he still staying in the male Cub cabin?
Oh, no.
Okay, I didn't think so. Does Wren know where his place that he stays is?
She does not know his apartment.
Okay. Is there any bed in particular you want to go to, or you want to head back to my dorm?
If you're willing to go ahead and take me over there, that's fine.
Of course, as long as you don't mind some snakes.
I love snakes. Snakes are wonderful.
She pulls a deep breath and then reaches into her purse and pulls out her mirror. And then stops and just kind of weighs it in her palm for a minute and watches him. Are you okay walking through the city?
He goes ahead and nods his head.
You sure?
He definitely goes ahead and nods his head very, very firmly. There's one firm nod.
Okay. If it starts getting hard, let me know. We can always come back. Okay?
He acknowledges.
Don't be afraid to tell me. And she holds out the mirror for him to step sideways.
Oh, if you're going to offer it, he's definitely not going to go into his own pocket for his own mirror. And in a few seconds, few minutes, he is definitely slipping sideways through the weaver's webs.
And once she's sure that he's over and safe, she does likewise. And when they're both over, she tucks the mirror back in her purse and reaches to touch his arm very lightly and heads towards the north part of the sept.
Mm-hmm. You go ahead and touch his arms. That's an indication to follow you. He definitely is going to go ahead and follow you. But what he does, he goes ahead and brings his arms and his hands just behind his head. So he's walking with his arms behind his head, following you.
Does he walk beside her or follow?
He follows.
Okay. She looks a little bit awkward about him following. She glances back a couple times. But if he looks more comfortable back there, she just tucks her hands in her pockets and starts walking.
He'll definitely follow you for the first part of this particular adventure. But if you stop or if you stall for a quick hot second, he might go ahead and come to your side or even walk ahead of you, since he knows exactly where you're going.
Well, she's definitely not going to stop him, and she'll give him plenty of opportunity to catch up. So.
Describe the walk through the city.
She's hyper aware of him behind her. She's not paying very good attention to the people around her or her surroundings. However, she did pick up her cell phone when they got back to the Tellurian, and she does check her cell phone several times. She's definitely waiting for a message and definitely is not coming. So she kind of goes back and forth between checking her cell phone and really the biggest sign that she's really paying attention to him is that she'll kind of cock her head sideways slightly every now and then, just listening to not just the fact that his feet are behind her, but that the pace of them.
Fair enough. You can listen to the pace. You can listen to Lucas's footfalls behind you, and then to your side, and eventually in front of you. He seems to be murmuring to himself several different things. You can definitely hear a hum to it, a melody to it. And then just for a half second, you notice a distinct difference in Lucas's, well, not aura, because we don't deal with auras in Werewolf, do we? But definitely a scent. You notice that there's a little bit of a subtle difference in his scent. You notice that was a Lucas smell, a Child of Gaia smell, a Garu smell, a wolf smell, all throughout this little pacing while he was behind you and then toward your side. But then eventually it just becomes a very, very familiar smell. So nothing has been added to it. It's just a more readily accepted smell. A brother scent, if you would.
Wren doesn't bother because she walks this path all the time and has no reason to not be here. And she's in Hamid, so she stays in Hamid and walks him to her dorm. She'll let him in, make him wait in the hall for just a minute while she puts the snakes away.
He'll actually stop you while you're trying to make away with snakes. Why you do that, he says.
They don't know you. I don't want you to scare them.
Do I scare them? He says that he's starting to approach.
You might startle them.
Are they startled? He says again.
They're very poisonous, Lucas. I'm not taking chances.
Goes ahead and throws his hands up. Okay, fair enough.
She curls him up in their tank, and it's a big tank. They don't mind being there. She's definitely not going to leave him running around while there's someone else in the room.
Since this is your space, why don't you take a hot second to go ahead and, describe it?
It's definitely a hippie's room. There's a lot of blankets, a lot of pillows. Most of it looks like it's probably hand woven or knitted or made with love and care, and not necessarily with very expensive materials. And this kind of rich with love but not money atmosphere has been thrown over a very stark, basic dorm room. The furniture is all square and boring and kind of all that plastic wood kind of stuff, laminate. The fixtures are square and boring, and it's kind of an interesting combination. But the general feeling is soft and comfortable, and feels very much actually like a den. She's got the big hanging on the wall so that the walls aren't bright. The window's bright, but the other walls are dark. There are things hanging from the ceiling, dream catchers, and lots and lots of paper lanterns that have all been made by hand. Some of them almost look like they're made out of lined paper, like maybe this is a hobby of hers.
Fair enough. You'll see one of the lanterns go ahead and start to twirl a little bit on its little hanging string as Lucas goes ahead and takes one finger and twirls it.
She stops and kind of looks around, and then she heads over to the bed and starts to strip it. There's another set of sheets in the drawer over there.
He looks at you. What do you want me to do?
Will you grab them for me?
He will do so.
She replaces the sheets on the bed with clean sheets, replaces the pillowcase, pulls back the cover, and gestures, all his.
Goes ahead and blinks to the bed. Mine.
Absolutely, as long as you need it.
Blank. You can definitely see that throughout this walk, he's been sort of aching. His arms have been aching, his legs have been aching, his back has been aching. And when you go ahead and offer it to him, what he does, he simply goes ahead and collapses. He doesn't try to be very, very civil about it. He just goes ahead and simply collapses in the bed. His legs are probably hanging off it. Probably his boots are still very, very situated on the ground.
Wren just stands and watches him for a minute, because she doesn't really want to intrude. And then she realizes that watching is probably pretty intrusive too, and turns and tosses the sheets into the laundry hamper and kind of finds things to busy herself with, but quietly. She moves as quietly as she can to go and put some water on. She's got one of those electric kettles. She actually leaves the room for a little while to go fill the kettle.
Mm-hmm. As you go ahead and leave, and I believe the kettle will go ahead and boil for a hot second.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an audible boil?
Yeah, yep. It makes a little clicking sound when it's done.
You hear from when you went ahead and left Lucas, probably a little bit muffled. Tea, please.
So when she comes back, she pours the water into 2 teacups. They definitely do not match. And refills the kettle with the water she just got, and finds some bags of tea. It's pretty strong spiced tea.
When you go ahead and see Lucas again, his face is definitely taken one of the pillows and gone ahead and thrown over his face. He hasn't exactly moved. He's just taken one of the pillows and thrown it over his face.
You want sugar?
Yes, he says. Actually, he goes ahead and corrects himself. No, please. All throughout the pillow.
She definitely adds a bunch of sugar to hers. And from a little mini fridge, she adds some milk to hers. You want milk?
That he'll go ahead and nod and say, yes, please.
And the quiet sound of spoons and cups is the next thing that he hears from her. That is kind of hard to mask. And when it stops, her footsteps come over and she sets the mug very carefully on the bedside table, kind of pushes. There's a stack of books on it, and she pushes them aside a little bit to set the mug next to it.
Fair enough, fair enough. As soon as you go ahead and start setting this place, as soon as you go ahead and start serving Lucas his own tea, he'll actually go ahead and sit up on the bed, replace the pillow back at the head.
When he sits up, she is back across the room. She's camped in the computer chair, which looks like it's made for exactly zero comfort, but it's got a sheepskin thrown over it and is a lot softer than it probably was when she got here. And she's curled up. She's got her knees pulled up to her chest and is holding her own teacup and watching.
You see Lucas, very much more calm, very much more in control of himself. Take the teacup, sip it a little bit, look to you. This is very nice. Thank you.
Definitely my pleasure. She checks her phone and is not satisfied with the result and sets it aside again. I'm glad you're back.
Goes ahead and nods. Yes, that is good. I do not know where they are.
She nods. Does it hurt?
Not physically.
No, I know. That's not what I meant.
It hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we knew it would.
He goes ahead and gives a deep, long breath out. He goes ahead and scrunches his eyes. I didn't learn anything. I didn't learn anything I didn't already know.
You couldn't have come back if you hadn't learned anything.
He goes ahead and shakes his head. No, I knew. I knew. I wasn't blind. I just didn't experience it firsthand.
Do you feel it now in a way you didn't before?
He goes ahead and nods his head.
That's a kind of learning.
I wasn't stupid. I wasn't ignorant. I knew. I knew.
Sometimes there's a difference between knowing and understanding, and sometimes we have to train ourselves. Train our instincts. Your instincts have been trained. At least a little bit.
You notice he goes ahead and pushes the tray away. You notice he goes ahead and brings his elbows to his knees and brings his head down to his hands.
Don't get me wrong, Lucas. I don't think it was a good or necessary lesson.
I knew. I've been running for so long, and I knew. And nothing I saw changed anything I knew. I've been running from assholes with fucking guns for half my life. No, that was fine. That was great, he says, even breaking it much more apart. But when they went ahead and wanted to put me to sleep, I remembered the last time they put me to sleep. And I remember the hell they put me through. God damn it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to sleep. I could not go to sleep in hell. I couldn't fall asleep. I could not fall asleep. I could not go unconscious in hell.
No, that would have not been good if you'd done that. You would have... Your friends had no thumbs.
He looks at you from across this dorm to where you're sitting at the computer desk. Do people think that... Did they not understand? Did they not know? I don't understand how you could not know. Just... It was hell. I knew. I fucking figured it out so many fucking long ago. I knew how much fucking human development and greed and over fucking consumption. I knew how much it intruded into the traditional Gaia's sacred places, and I knew the fucking... He goes ahead and breathed it out again. The fucking situation of the wolves for a wolf can't have a lupus breed. They're still back there. And I couldn't show them the way out.
Did you go to be a teacher?
Kazan shakes his head.
And you didn't fail your mission. You came back. Your mission was a success.
Looks up to you. And what was my mission?
To come back.
Wren, I didn't even have to go. I had passed my rite of passage. There was no power in the sept that went and threw me into that hell.
Why did you go?
Stop. He goes ahead and stops for a brief second. You notice that he's thinking to himself. You notice he's actually coming up with one answer and tries to start it, but stops himself. Then after a few seconds, he goes ahead and starts again. Because of all of the other cubs that I grew up with in these past few months were going and did not have the option of opting out.
So your exemption was one of timing and not of... Well. What did you hope to get out of it? Were you punishing yourself? Solidarity?
solidarity.
Ah,
All the people who went were people who were unknowing, who didn't know, just didn't know the trials and tribulations of Lupus or the wolves, didn't know the trials or tribulations of the nation. They were unknowing. They were unknowing kin coming into this. And they're still stuck there.
mm-hmm.
And it was just all wrong. Just all wrong from the beginning.
Yes, that's the nature of wolf home.
All wrong. Fuck it. Quite honest. That was my pack going into hell. And it didn't feel right about them going into hell without me.
I understand.
I feel like shit. Because I couldn't show them the way out.
Wren kind of cocks her head sideways again. Is that reasonable?
Goes ahead and scratches his head. They told us all what kind of realm Wolf Home was. They told us that we'd have to come to terms with the wolf side. Individually, I guess. The fucked up thing was, the one thing that I find horrible is that nothing that we did for the past few months prepared us at all.
No, no matter how much you think you can prepare yourself for pain, it's still pain. Even if you know it's coming and you know exactly how much it's going to hurt, it still hurts. The only thing you can prepare yourself for is how much you flail when it happens. I'm sorry it hurt.
It does.
I hope you learned something. I hope you learned a lot. I hope if you haven't so far, you go back and think about it until you do, because I hope it wasn't wasted.
Just goes back to those few seconds when we were all eating out of the garbage and we heard the sirens and I knew the way out because I had been running for so very long and I had a hot second to think and I ran towards those creatures with the fire sticks. I would have fought them. I would have led the pack back to safety again, maybe slipped out quietly when there wasn't a crisis. But no, I got stuck because they hadn't placed his hand on his throat. I got stuck by a dart and was going to bring the death sleep. And I stepped away. I used the way out, the escape hatch. rather than fall asleep in the middle of a fucking alleyway in the back of a fucking O'Toole's.
That seems wise to me. You should take your boots off if you're going to sleep.
Goes ahead and looks down at his boots. I don't think I want to sleep.
I understand.
Might just wander.
Is that a good idea?
Looks up to you. What's the worst that could happen?
If you've been in Wolf Home, you've been abused by people for a couple days. Are you safe to be around them?
Lucas looks at you. Really, really sternly. And he says, Gaia, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
She meets his eye and waits. Do you?
I want to try.
Are you safe among them?
I'm not going to lash out.
Are you going to be glad of their company, or are you going to be hardening your heart? Maybe instead of going among people, you should be among kin, wolves, Garu, until the scabs have a chance to fall away and leave the new skin.
You know, it's Lucas because I hadn't turned away from you. Wren, like I said, Wolf Home didn't teach me any new lessons. I knew about the greed of humanity. I knew about it for consumption. I knew all this.
If you hadn't learned anything, you couldn't have come back.
He goes ahead and brings. Go ahead.
Tell me what you've learned.
Towards the very, very end, I had an epiphany. Humanity is a greedy, invasive species that takes more than they ought to. And introduced into the wrong environment, they just take and take and take and leave nothing behind. It's the same thing as if you go ahead and put a goddamn frog in the outback. The fucked up thing is that humanity does that to the entire world. And the fucked up thing is they don't necessarily have to. They don't have to be greedy. They don't have to be overconsumptive. It's just it's not the way they're taught. They don't know. They aren't taught. They aren't educated. They don't fucking know. The fucked up thing is there's so many fucking ignorant assholes out in the world that they just go ahead and collect themselves and keep fucking raping the mother until there's fucking nothing left.
Wren's eyes close. It's funny you should call them an invasive species. It's
Yeah?
funny you should condemn them by thinking of them as animals.
Enlighten me, Wren.
They're animals too. And in their worst ways, they're like animals. Don't ever... Always give humans the same courtesy you'd give an animal. Wolf Home isn't real, even if it's very, very real. You can't make any changes there, but you have thumbs here.
I didn't say here in the Gaian realm they were all bad.
I know. You just worried me.
I know that you can point them in the right direction. I know. I know that you can point them in the right direction. I know. I know.
You can't just point, though. There's no animal with maybe dogs that just goes where it's pointed. It has to think that there's something worth having there.
Then what do you do, Wren?
What do I do, or what's the best thing to do?
Either or.
Find the beautiful things, make them want them. The good things, I guess. I guess you keep asking yourself what you're missing so that your good things don't accidentally poison other things.
I can try that.
I mean, there's the carrot or the stick. Make them want the carrot. There's plenty of Garu who are all over the stick. We have to, it's our job to try the carrot, you know?
As children?
As children.
I can try that. I want to try that.
You know, maybe you couldn't teach them in Wolf Home, but when they get back, they're going to be angry and hurting. Maybe that's where you need to be the teacher.
They're gonna come back. Adam, because then brings his hand up. Talia. Olaf. Well, he's been around a few times before. Who else? Who else went? Maeve. Cinna. Fuck you, Cinna, so much. He says with a chuckle under his breath.
Whoa there, whoa there.
Shino. Shino was there as well. Oh, Gaia, help me in my memory. Albert. Of course, Albert was there. You notice there's a very hard tone to Albert in his name.
Wren notices. Her face changes a little. She's still watching him.
He's holding out about, one hand worth of fingers and two more. And he thinks to himself, that can't be it. That can't be all of it. Fuck, am I missing one? Please, Gaia, please don't tell me I'm missing one.
Now I can't remember who he said.
He has said, May, Chino. He has said Olaf. He has gone ahead and said Cinna. He has gone ahead and said Albert, making 5 total, and I forget the other 3.
He said Adam. He said Chino. Did he count himself?
No, he did not count himself.
I think you said them all.
Okay. He goes ahead and like brings his hands back down.
When are you going to forgive Albert?
I don't know.
Is it helping you?
Holding a grudge?
Mm-hmm.
It's not hurting me right now.
Are you sure?
I haven't had the chance to interact with Albert for a very, very long time, for several weeks. And when he did, he went ahead and botched. He goes ahead and like says very, very loudly, very, very strongly. He went ahead and botched it. He went ahead and ran right through the fucking streets and got himself fucking spotted and got animal control all up on our ass.
Maybe if he hadn't been left alone? Maybe if he hadn't been left to train by himself for a pack trip?
He breathes in, he breathes out. I didn't exclude him.
Does that make you feel better?
About?
About what you just said?
About him botching?
About your vitriol?
Vinegar and vitriol. I should love him, he says through gritted teeth. Just like I love everybody else. Just like I should love everybody else.
Love can be a little hard sometimes. Sometimes I don't necessarily know that I succeed in loving everyone. But even if I can't love everyone, I definitely know the behavior that Unicorn has prescribed for us.
At the moment, I'm the only one out of the hole that he went ahead and dug for us.
No.
Hmm?
He didn't send you to Wolf Home. And you, Lucas, chose to go. Make sure you lay the blame where it's due, or this is going to be a very bad lesson. And we're going to spend the rest of our time cleaning up the mess that this poison has wrought.
Okay, fine. I went by myself without any cohesion willingly into hell. It was Olaf that went ahead and directed most of the cubs into it and rode himself into hell as well.
Are you blaming Olaf?
I can't really. I mean,
No.
he went with us.
He did.
He didn't say do it. He didn't give the directive do it. He was following orders. Miss Whisper, she didn't contradict anybody. She stood there. She opened up the way for us, and Olaf was the one that drug all the cubs with him into that hell. But it was Teeth of Titanium Raya who ultimately made that command.
So what lesson do you learn from each of their actions?
From Olaf, He wanted us all to come back. He trained us so hard and so long, and wanted to make sure that his crop of cubs came back strong as possible. Miss Whisper's actions, she pointed us. She tried to give us instruction and structure before we left. Teeth of Titanium, Raya. I don't really know. The only thing that I would go ahead and change of anything that happened in the last 8 months is I would have gone ahead and shut Albert up quicker. Told him he was being stupid.
Wren stands up and goes to put the kettle on again. Her tea's gone, and she needs an excuse to look away.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still listening.
What do I do?
Well, I think the best thing is probably to be ready to catch them when they get back. They'll need care, and if you can... they'll be glad to see you.
I'm not sure that they'll be glad to see me.
Well, I mean, considering you weren't glad to see me, that's a fair concern.
I am afraid and concerned that I found the way out and I took it before them. And they will resent me for that one.
Well, if you want the judgment of a Philodox, you were tranquilized. You should not have stayed to suffer them to tend your sickness. If you want the judgment of a Philodox, I will give that same judgment to any who need to hear it. But, as far as the other cubs coming back, I guess you get to decide whether how much as a group you're all going to hold one another responsible for what happened, or whether you're going to accept that you all did the best you could. Really what I'm saying is that if you want to be forgiven, the first step is to forgive.
I can try that.
I think they'll be glad to see you.
You notice the corner of his lips go ahead and curl down if you're looking at him.
She is. Lucas, it's I know it hurts. Just remind yourself that it hurts, that you are healing wounds, and that they will be too. Don't disregard your pain, or it will have power over you.
That's what you're getting at. He says he's pointing at you. That's what you're getting at.
Is that a question?
No, he says that's what you're getting at. That's exactly what you're getting at.
What? I, you okay?
Goes ahead and looks up, closes his eyes. I knew academically what it was. I didn't feel it personally. You're saying, he says, as he goes ahead and again scrunches up his eyes. I gotta catch them as they come out. Try to make sure they don't blow up.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do. There's a bunch of them, and only one of you, but if you can get a hold of me, then the odds are a little better.
His head nods. True, true. Goes it up in his eyes. Wait. You're actually willing to throw into this?
Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, Lucas. Yes, these are my brothers and sisters too.
Oh, that's wonderful. They're gonna hate everybody and everybody forever.
What?
Goes ahead and like shakes his head and tries to stand up. They're gonna hate everybody forever, and that's what we're starting with. Oh, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be awesome.
What are you? Wren looks genuinely hurt. She sits back and
You notice him standing up. You notice him smiling. You notice that chuckle to his voice. You notice him looking at you. This is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. Oh, I think I've gone mad. What?
the kettle clicks behind Wren, and she doesn't move. She's watching him.
He goes in and again looks to you. What?
I don't understand.
This is the first moment, Rin, where you've said that you're going to go ahead and help me with something like this, like the children do. I'm very glad for that kind of support and that kind of help.
You didn't think I would help you before?
I didn't think that you wouldn't. It's just this is the first time I'm seeing it. First time that I don't have to act like somebody ignorant or who doesn't know, who has no action, who is helpless, but there's somebody who can help striding with you.
What are you talking about?
I'm like Leith now.
Yes.
That's wonderful. That means I actually have the kind of like you're an adult. You get to say what happens kind of nonsense.
Wren is staring at him, and there is a deep, deep trepidation in her eyes.
What did I do wrong? He says, like cocking an eyebrow.
Did you think that I thought less of you when you were a cub?
I didn't know what you thought. I mean, your words towards Unicorn were very, very edifying. They were wonderful, even. I'm glad to hear them. I'm glad to hear that you had so much faith in me.
Lucas, you've always been an advisor to me since I met you.
Okay. Well, let's just say up until now, I'm guessing the rest of the nation, or at least in the eyes of the nation, as far as titles is concerned, I didn't think they would see that as the case.
No, but I'm sorry if I thought that was the case.
Oh no. No, since the very, very beginning, you've always spoken well. You've always said that I've been a light, and I'm glad to still be a light, and I hope to still be a light to you and to the rest of the Sept.
Okay. You had me worried.
He goes ahead and gets to have that little chuckle, that little smile. Please don't tell me you were worried about that.
Your laughter was startling.
I find myself laughing more and more these days.
Is it honest? Is it joy that moves you? Or scorn?
Some laughter is joyous. Some laughter is to mask something else. Some laughter, a small amount of it. Even I don't even recognize it until after the fact. Is a bit of scorn, but to be quite honest, more time I spend off the sept, the more time that I do not laugh. More time I go ahead and find myself back into that familiar comfort I did before I was Garu.
A good way?
It's an edifying way.
Wren reaches back and pours another cup of tea for herself and kind of holds out a hand in case he wants another cup.
Oh, you can notice that he's not exactly finished with his own cup, and he goes ahead and sips it.
She nods and pulls her hand back, adds some sugar to her tea while it's steeping.
It was all that time on the Seft where I went a little bit manic, where I went a little bit off kilter. Because I didn't want people to know. Didn't want people to figure it out. He says, like pointing to his own head.
Figure what out?
I figure out that, I wasn't this happy-go-lucky guy all the time. I mean, hell, if you go ahead and plaster a lot of unicorns all over the cabins, people think you're that crazy obsessed Garu. That's a little bit manic.
I hope you haven't been to meeting Unicorn.
No, absolutely not.
Good.
More and more, I try to think more and more on unicorn.
Yeah. Me too.
Maybe I'll get to that point where I love everybody. Maybe.
Well, if you do, you'll have me beat.
Rand, what do you think about the rest of the Cubs coming back?
What do I think about them?
What do you think is going to be their greatest trial and tribulation?
I don't know. I've never been to Wolf Home.
It's a place where it starts out that the ground is very, very soft, very, very yielding, very, very comforting, but very, very quickly deteriorates into very, very hard ground that's unyielding and unforgiving. Difference between a hillside and concrete.
Wren closes her eyes and sets her cup on her knees so she can lean over and just kind of inhale. Smell the tea.
Lucius is gonna go ahead and slap his knee. Fuck. Actually, could you do me a favor?
Sure.
While you're thinking about that, can you go back to the cabins for a hot second and bring me back the contents of one of the footlockers, combination 123, with a package that is just marked number 2?
Sure. She pulls herself to her feet and reaches for her purse. Should I take the keys? Or you want me to leave them with you?
Go ahead and take them. I'm not planning to go anywhere.
Okay. I'll be back.
You can
She
definitely
stops and realizes she's about to leave her tea behind and grabs it. She has like a to-go cup. Pours it in there. Gives him a grin before she turns back.
To actually get the package and to come back is not really all that much of a hassle, actually, especially with the combination that you're given. The package is actually looks like it's a flat rectangular prism. It's wrapped in brown paper. It has the number 2 designated on it. Do you open it up?
No. No, she brings it back to him.
You bring it back to him. And when you come back, you notice that the boots have actually been taken off and probably more thrown against the front door than anything else. You notice that he's currently sitting back in your computer chair, listening to some news.
She offers him the package.
Oh, okay. He takes the package, which is about 3 feet diagonal, walks over to the bed, takes a pocket knife from his pocket, goes ahead and slashes it open. And if you'll excuse me, I need to actually look up the description that I made for this one.
Okay.
Why are you always on my ass? This is some interlude music for all of you. All right. Fluffing open the package, you go ahead and see that is, yeah, screw it. It's actually a painting. You can see the paint on the canvas as he goes ahead and starts to rip the brown paper wrapping away from it.
She is watching, assuming that he doesn't look like he's doing it furtively or doesn't want her to see.
No. He's very, very open about it. When he finally opens up, the painting before you is a painting of Wren Brennan standing proud, soft wispy wings extending from behind her, and a faint multicolored halo surrounding her head. One arm reaching behind her to keep her charge safe from the unseen threat.
She stares at it and doesn't really know what to do with it. She kind of keeps looking at it and then kind of looking at it sideways, very much like a dog or a cat that seeing itself in a mirror for the first time, where it's not quite sure if, like, why the thing is moving the way it moves. And she grins at him and looks back. Did you do this?
He goes ahead and nods.
You gave me a halo, Lucas?
Goes ahead and shrugs.
It's beautiful. But I have a halo.
And?
That's a little, misguided.
Goes ahead and shrugs. Can be easily taken out of.
This is beautiful work, though.
He goes ahead and nods. Sketches took me about a few days. I was especially inspired. The paint would just not work for me. It took me about, I don't know, 2 weeks to go ahead and get the composition right. And even there, you go ahead and see Lucas points out several dabs of paint that seem to be too thick or too thin, where the composition doesn't seem all that right. But they're all minute details.
She doesn't really know what to make of it. Wren's never been comfortable with flattery. And that's quite flattering. Thank you.
Goes ahead and nods. If you don't want it, I can keep it for my own stores.
I do, but it would be pretty awkward on my wall.
And if you like, I can go ahead and keep it stored until there is a place you want to present it.
Okay. No, I'd like that.
Goes ahead and nods it. Cool. I was
Thank
busy,
you.
and I had to add something to go ahead and busy my hands.
A halo, huh?
Multicolored halo.
Fair enough.
And by halo, Lucas doesn't mean like a ringlet above your head. He means like the painting is actually concentric rings like behind your forearms and around your head. Does that make any sense, or am I talking nonsense?
Nope, it makes sense.
Fair enough.
Wren's tea is gone again. She kind of steps away from the painting and glances back at it again.
Now I'm reading. Okay. How would you like to end the scene?
Is Lucas going to sleep?
Are you going to coax him to sleep?
No, if he doesn't want to sleep, she won't coax him. If he decides to leave, she will curl up on the floor, give him the key, and then curl up on the floor in a pile of pillows and probably go to sleep herself, cradling her phone.
Did you just go ahead and describe a pillow fort?
Not really a fort, because she doesn't have any couch pillows, so it's really more like a pillow pile.
So you're asking me if Lucas would go ahead and give up a pillow pile?
Well, no, she would make a pillow pile and leave him in the bed.
Let's go ahead and roll some dice. Yeah, he'll stay.
Okay. Well then, she has some studying to do and some work. Excuse me, some work to do. So she leaves him to his own devices unless he wants to talk.
That's much more talking after that one. Let me check. Nope. I guess that is a good place to go ahead and end our scene. Any outro do you like to give?
Not really.
All right. The scene goes ahead and, well, tries to end. It desperately wants to end, but there's something called a button that needs to be pressed. It's a very, very ambiguous term, press the button. Most of us goes ahead and struggles with the idea of pressing the button to go ahead and bring some sort of finality to the scene. But as you know, the little cursor walks over to the little broadcast button. We'd like to go ahead and thank you all. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Well, thank you, players, for playing. And we'll see you all again. Good night.